What's going on, truth seekers and spiritual seekers? Welcome to another episode of the Zen Gen podcast. I'm so excited for this week's guest. So, as you know, I've been saying for a while, I'll have guests on my podcast, but we are 10 or 11 episodes out, and it's just whatever I'm channeling and whatever I'm getting, I'm just going to share. I didn't realize I had so much to share. But last week's guest, Friday, five-time Grammy-nominated artist. You know, his if you listen to the episode, his story is one of perseverance, one of literally making it out of the trenches to all of a sudden having your life change by being on the Grammy stage. And getting the call from DJ Khaled from God Did. And that's just the way spirit works, God's source, the creator works, and just divine timing. And, you know, on this podcast, we share a lot. I share a lot about different topics, spiritual topics, connections to the universe and all that is, and also ancient knowledge, ancient history. Within that history, believe it or not, animals play a role. And also, right now, in this day and age, everyone has a fur baby at home, right? Well, could very quite possibly be that your fur baby and you have had connections before this lifetime. So, and if there are moments when you're looking at your pet and you feel like they're understanding you, believe it or not, they're probably, you guys are communicating. And I learned this through also taking animal communication classes from a wonderful woman who I have on the podcast today. And we're going to talk more about animals, their role here, communicating with them, and also just want to thank her for helping me being part of the spiritual journey that I've been on. So I've known Olivia Labar. Olivia Labar first. Hi, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. So Olivia, I've known Olivia for quite a few years now, if I actually, right? So it's been quite some.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I thought of you immediately, all these topics that I'm sharing, and it's just I feel for me, animals don't get the respect that they should. You know, we see them as cute little things, not things, cute little, creatures that are next to us and, showing us love and affection every day, which is what they're here for. But you know, there's a true history behind who and what they are. Um, and I actually learned that through you when I took the animal communication classes. So we're gonna get into all of that, but I found Olivia because I was being called, guided to learn about animal communication. And I'll tell you what, Olivia, what led me to you, it wasn't an actual like listing a posting, but what drew me to you is that I was actually watching a YouTube video. I don't know if you saw this. There's a YouTube video of an animal communicator speaking
Mhm.
to a jaguar that was in captivity. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes, yes. It's
Okay.
Anna Brook, I think is her name. And yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So
Hmm.
that's the video that led me to it sparked that I guess interest, curiosity in me to say, wow, let me look into that. Is that something? And so again, I Googled you. I saw that you were from Brooklyn. You know, I felt your energy just through the screen. I'm like, you know what? Let me connect with her. And then I connected with Olivia, and now we're here. And I've just learned so much from you, Olivia. Even when I was taking your classes, right? I took classes to learn. So
Hmm.
let's start with your practice. Let's go there. How you fell into this practice, and what does it really mean to be communicating with your animal? And to let people know that this is a real thing that you absolutely can communicate with your animal.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, you might hear my dogs in the background. Milo is barking a little bit right now. So I
All
have
good,
two
girl.
dogs, Milo and Lucy. Yeah. And so Milo is really he's what led me to animal communication, I would say. It's like a whole long story though. There's like a lot more to it, but basically I was also on this like spiritual journey. It started probably like really more intensely when a friend of mine died,
Mm,
a really good friend of mine, and then I was feeling her spirit. And all of these things were happening. I think my whole life, I've always been highly sensitive. I've always kind of sensed spirits. Always like, I even remember when I was little, like talking to animals and just thinking it was a normal thing, which it is, but the adults say, like, no, that's not real. So you just kind of put it aside. But
mhm,
I kind of went through this also like you, like a spiritual seeking journey. I was really unhappy in my career. I was already going to therapy, but I wanted something else like to help me. I felt like really like spiritual, like I needed something spiritual, which I hadn't ever really considered myself super spiritual before, but
mm,
I was led to Reiki. Yeah, I was led to Reiki and I started receiving Reiki sessions and it was really life-changing. And then that like led me to learn Reiki. And once I learned it, it was like an opening of all of my spiritual abilities. And one thing led to another.
mhm,
I I did take like mediumship classes. I went to different like spiritual classes. And like one day I was sitting with one of my teachers who, in the park, and we were joking about Milo, my dog Milo. I was like, I better get home. He's been randomly pooping on the floor and I don't know why. He's not waiting for walks. And then she was like, well, why don't you just ask him why? You can use your mediumship and psychic abilities to ask him. And I was like, what? Yeah. So that's I mean, actually a short story, a short version of the long story. But yeah, that's what led me to animal communication.
mhm. And
Um,
it's so amazing how I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually a Reiki practitioner now too. And I'm certified
oh,
and trained. Yes, yes. You were all part of this journey completely. And we'll get into that. But I mentioned it because you know how you said your gifts sort of just exploded after that. So
yeah.
I've also always been spiritual. I mean, you know that, but um during my Reiki meditations, I was getting so many downloads and like visions. It was insane. It's Reiki just I feel like Reiki removes whatever last blockage. I don't say it's a blockage that was really stopping me from fully connecting in that way. So it's
Mhm.
amazing that I'm hearing this testimony from you. So it just further confirms that like connecting with the universal energies is a real thing. Absolutely. Um,
Yeah, and like yeah, and then it started for me, the communication started with like yeah, it that opened up. It started with like things like why are you pooping on the floor? And but then
mm,
I quickly realized that there was much more there. It was way deeper. Our relationships with our animal companions are so profound. We already feel
mm,
it, but the types of things that the animals were telling me, both the ones who were in spirit and the ones who are living, about our purpose together, our growth together, our the lives we've lived in the past together, our spiritual journeys. I was just like, wow, there's so much here. And like animals do have their own um spiritual journeys too. They have souls
mm.
just like us. So that makes so much sense, right?
Yeah, can you get into that a little bit? It, how does that work for the animals? How on the animal side, how can an animal be on their spiritual journey? I know a lot of people out there might be wondering what journey do they really have? They get to eat, they stay home, they relax, they sleep, they use the, you know what I mean? They get coddled all the time. So what journey can an animal be on? And then also the connection a person has with their animal could span this lifetime, many lifetimes. Just sort of dive into that.
Okay, yeah. Well, those are good questions. So like this. I know it seems like animal companions' lives are like maybe they seem more simple than ours, and in a way they are, but they still go through things. So I've seen animals, like for instance, my dog Lucy, she has grown from being like really anxious and scared, and she still has some anxiety, but like to like really like learning to be brave, learning to be courageous. And also she like started like letting us know what she really wanted, what she really didn't want,
How?
and I see people, yeah, like what was it?
How was she doing that? Was it telepathic
Yeah,
or like literally physically doing things to kind of give you the hint?
both. Like, so I would telepathically, get messages from her, talk to her. Like, suddenly one day she's like, you know what? My food is too cold. I need you to heat that up. And I'm like, oh, that's why you're not really eating it. And then I heated her food up and she was like, yes, thank you. And then, things like she started refusing walks. Like, my
Hmm.
dog Milo needs to go out 4 times a day at least. So we'd take her on the walks with him. And then she was just like, you know what? I don't want to have all these walks. I just don't feel like it. Why do I have to walk every time Milo walks? So we've really adjusted. There were some physical reasons for that, but also like she just didn't want to sometimes. So yeah, things like that. But I really see that in a way, her and I are almost on this parallel journey, and
Hmm.
that like I see myself like even, I'm like in my 40s now, but
Mhm.
like I'm like, oh wow, I'm just learning how to say what I want, what I need. And
Hmm.
I feel like Lucy has almost like helped me or like modeled that for me in a way, like we're doing it together.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so interesting the way you're describing, Lucy and Milo. It's like it feels like they're people, right? The way they're responding and stuff, you're like, this is like an interaction you'd have with a human, right? Like someone meaning like Lucy, if she has a personality, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize with animals, right? Animals do have their own personalities, they have their likes, their own dislikes, and
Mhm.
it and that stems from a soul level, right? So we're all, here's the esoteric talk, this is what the Zen Gem podcast is about, but we all incarnate here in different bodies, right? So um when it comes to animals and who their person is that
Mhm.
something that they choose on their choose on their own? Like, how does that come to be? Like, let's say you're going into a shelter, right? You bring
Mhm.
home an animal. Is that animal naturally drawn to you in a spiritual level, and that's why that connection is there, and you're bringing them home, you're choosing them home? I guess, what's the deeper layer to a connection with your fur baby? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the
Long-winded
deeper,
question.
no, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the deeper layer, like I do think that people have like different levels of relationships with their animal companions. So just like with people, there are some people you meet and you're like, oh my gosh, we're soulmates, or like, I feel like I've known you before, or you're instant friends. And then there's other people who are like, in your life, or they're important in your life, but you don't feel that. And I see the same with animals and people that like some have this instant like soul connection. There are many, I feel like animals and people, their souls recognize each other. It's like you have this instant familiarity or this instant like knowing that you can explain on the animal side and the person side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that to me usually signifies your souls, like part of you has known each other, like from the
Mm-hmm.
past lives or between lives or whatever that looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
then to answer the question of whether like an animal will choose you or like what's that connection? Or do you decide that before? I can't I can't completely answer that because I can't pretend I know like everything that happens like
Sure.
between our lives. Like if there are past lives, I'm beginning to really think that there are from everything that the animals tell me, you know. But I do have the feeling that like there are like and many animals have told me that there are like kind of soul families or like certain souls that are connected with each other and they you find each other in different lives. Like you find each other and like you have certain things in each life that you're doing together. You're growing together in certain ways.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
you're helping each other. So just like we talked about the animal's journey, like the person has a journey and often they're intertwined.
Yes.
Does
Uh,
that answer your question?
Absolutely. And I'm pausing like this because I'm getting chills. Patches is, I feel like she's ready to, she has something to say about that. And well, Patches, if you guys don't know, I've never introduced Patches on my podcast before. That's also why I connected with Olivia. She is my bestie still. My ride or die that passed away a year ago. What are we in 2025? Yes, a year ago. And Olivia really helped me through that. And also just taught me so much by connecting through patches. Ooh, and patches, which we're going to connect with in a little bit. I'm so excited. And also to the listeners that are listening real fast, that Olivia will be connecting with some of your animals. I put it out on social media. If anybody was interested in connecting with their animals or they had a message, she will be connecting with some of your animals later on too. But going back to, I lost my train of thought. Going back to the connection, soul connection. Um, I don't know
Mhm.
how much you remember, Olivia, because I know you work with so many animals, but I learned a lot about my soul connection with patches um, through your channeling. And it really set me off on this journey of wanting to know more, the curiosity of connecting with animals. Oh, before I forget, this is what I wanted to ask you too. We've spoken about this offline before, but how do you feel about veganism? So
Mhm.
this is my personal opinion, what I feel. Right.
Mhm.
It is a choice whether or not you want to obviously eat meat or not. I feel like, you know, animals when they come here, they know that that's what they're here to be or do in a sense.
Mhm.
Um, so on the animal side, if you've ever connected or if you just have any insight, where do animals stand with veganism? I'm sure none of them want to be eaten, but I know some of them know it's their purpose here. There's a fine line, right? So can you just tap into that? Because some people do want to eat meat, right? And do,
Mhm.
and some people feel like they shouldn't because animals are souls too. So where do you stand with that? Well, not you, but where
Oh,
you picked up from that. I
yeah.
don't want to put you out there like Olivia Lamar said no to me, you know.
Yeah.
Lord.
No, it's that's a really good question. Honestly, I struggle with that all the time. It comes up like for me a lot, and it comes up, yeah, it just comes up a lot. So, what is really interesting is with like one of my teachers, her name is Kristen Hauser. She's awesome. She would do these groups of these groups where we get together and we connect with certain types of animals. So we've connected with cows and
Oh
chickens, and
my God,
we've
share.
yeah, we've asked them like, what do you feel about this? Or like asking representatives of them. And there was something really beautiful. The cows were like, just acknowledge and thank us for like feeding you. Just acknowledge and thank us. And I always think about that like I still do eat meat sometimes, and I always thank the animal. I always thank them before, I eat them, and I try to, not have just be really careful about where I get it from and how the animals were treated, but still you are eating an animal. So I thought that was really lovely from the cows. From the chickens, they were like, well, we just don't want to know about it. Just like let us live our lives and then like, get it over
Whatever
quickly.
happens, happens.
Yeah, and they were not like the cows are so like nurturing and loving and about it, and like the chickens are very, they're like dinosaurs. So they're just like a very different energy. And I have talked to chickens who were um rescued and everything from laying eggs and all that. And they're actually really awesome and loving. And but like when we talk to the chickens about like about all this shit, they're just like, yeah, I'm just like, we don't want to know. The less we know, the better type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So does that answer your question?
It
Those are just
does.
two types of.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does. So, oh man, that made me want to cry. Um, and this is why I battle too, right? I'm like, I have so much compassion for all beings, animals. It's getting a little out of control now. Like, no,
Mhm.
Olivia, it's get my compassion for animals. Like I'm feeling bad if I see a roach and I kill it. I'm
Mhm.
like, is there
Mhm.
something wrong with me? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm feeling bad for killing this roach right now. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting flooded with like, it had a family. It was just trying to get food and come home. But in my human side,
Mhm.
it's like, it's a freaking roach. Like, you don't want roaches in your house, apartment, or wherever you've seen the roach. So my
Mhm.
compassion for animals is really getting, it's really up there. Is that a normal thing for me to feel that way about a cockroach though? Am I crazy?
Yeah. You're not crazy. No, because
Okay.
like I had the same thing because we are conditioned to think, and like society teaches us to think
Yes.
like animals, we're animals too, but I would say other than human or more than human animals are below us somehow or the worst. So like we are always taught like roaches are disgusting. Another big one was rats. Like
Mm.
rats are disgusting, right?
Hmm.
One of my first like regular animal communication clients was a pet rat.
Oh wow.
And he was so awesome and so wise and amazing. And he taught me so much. And I never thought the same way about rats and mice again.
Mm.
Um, and like it makes sense. Like, why would it's like the other way is the crazy way? Like, why would you think that they're like not beings with souls? And then the roaches also, like I had a big roach problem too. And one of the apartments I lived at, and I was like, I don't want to be killing them. So you know what? I talked to the roaches.
And what did you
I
get? What
talked,
kind of energy do you get from a roach?
so I connected with like I asked for like the representatives of the roaches to step forward. And I
Wow.
felt like, yeah, I felt one with like lots behind. They were kind of, I was like, look, here's the deal. You're like, I know you live here too, but you're kind of making it so I am having a harder time living like that, you're in my kitchen. That's not okay. Like I need to cook without you getting in there. Is there anywhere else you could go? And then I kind of explored that with them. And I like tried to show them like you can go out this way or to go that way, And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to,
Yeah.
after that, our roach problem actually did go away.
Wow. That's
Hmm. I
incredible.
don't think it, yeah. And then like at this current apartment, this is a different apartment. We started having roaches and um they told me that they were coming from another apartment
Mm.
and then going back. And I
Oh,
was like, yeah. And
they were going
then
for
I
a
was like,
walk. They were just kind of walking around, seeing the vibes, and just going back home at night.
Yeah, and then their home
Wow.
got disturbed. Yeah, their home got disturbed because they were doing construction in the other apartment, and so they moved things around, and then I never saw them again. Yeah. So yeah.
This is blowing my mind, and I hope you're whoever's watching and listening the same. Like it's just you're trying to like whoever's listening or watching, understanding that these animals are their own souls and spirits, and they all are also experiencing life here in this lifetime and going about their lives as if we were. And it really puts it into perspective. Um, we're all really connected in that way, right? I hate to sound very Pocahontas, but it really is that way, you know.
We really are all connected. And actually, I love those Pocahontas songs
Me too.
about, yeah, because they're actually so true.
You know what? Dead ass. I was listening to Colors of the Wind the other day. I swear. And I was sitting there like, this is a deep song. I'm going to play it on the podcast at the end to wrap this up so that people can really understand that animals are just as important and should just be as respected as any other living creature here on this planet. I'm really big and firm on that. And yes, we understand now that some animals come here and know their purpose here is to nourish us. So we should
Mhm.
always just quickly thank the piece of meat you're looking at. I hate to say it so, simply like that, but that's
Mhm.
what it is. And on a vibrational sense, right? We all know how
Mhm.
a lot of these animals, they are how we get the meat, right? Is that any different from when animals used to be hunted? Let's say have you ever even connected to that? I don't know if you can connect to that, how animals were being hunted during, let's say cavemen times during that time versus how it's done now. Is there a difference in energy back then to how it's done now?
Yeah, well, so how I feel, or like what I feel from all of that, like it's something I have felt into for sure during all of this contemplation. I haven't necessarily connected with animals from that time who are now past, but I've connected with current animals about that. And honestly, like back then, it was almost more natural. It was more natural. So like if
Mm.
you look at the wild, animals eat each other. A lot of them do. Not all of them do, but a lot of them do. And we are animals too. So we're just part of that whole ecosystem and we're all, you
Mm.
know, they people as well.
Circle
And
of life, so to speak.
yeah, the circle of life, right. And that's what the message I keep getting to. It's kind of like that's just something that we're all doing. We're all part of that. But now there is a disconnect. There's almost something more like I would say better about like killing your own animal to eat
Mm.
than the way it is now. We are so disconnected from the animal itself that we have a hard time connecting, like even thanking the animal, right? Because
Yeah,
we don't want to think about that animal who died. Also, the factory farming and the way that animals are treated
sure.
can be really as well. So does that
Sure.
answer your question?
No, told completely. It's good you mentioned that because, I was just saying before the vibrational aspect of it, right? If you're ingesting anything, just as if you were listening to something that didn't feel good to you, watching something that doesn't feel good to you, you're going to pick up on that energy, right? I personally
Mhm.
feel it's the same thing with ingesting food. So if an animal was slaughtered, I hate to use that word, but that's what it is, a certain way, right?
Mhm.
In these factories, that energy is still within that meat. So by returning the gratitude and thanking them before you cook your meat or before you eat your plate, not just God, thank, the animal spirit for nourishing you. That'll help a lot with how you intake the food, in my personal opinion. Just being out of gratitude and being grateful for that is important. Uh, have you ever connected with non-domestic animals out of curiosity? Um,
Yeah,
just on your own. Oh, have you? Okay.
yeah.
Can you share some of your experience with the types of what you've conversations you've had with these exotic animals. And that's something that I think a lot of us are interested in, right? You don't get to see them all the time unless you go to a zoo or what have you, or if you're out somewhere far, far deep in the Midwest. What's just some energies you picked up from different types of animals, or even out of the country, actually, that you've connected with?
Um, Sure. So, there are a lot of people who do like, or some people, I should say, that do conservation work with animals, with wild animals. I actually was part of this group for a little bit. We were connecting with elephants, wild elephants in parts of Africa, and trying to understand how to help them or like what the humans needed to do and kind of like make way for their land. And they had I mean, I know that people say like elephants are wise, but they are. There's something about feeling the vibration of the earth that they talked about, almost like showing the earth like a grid, like where they were following. They had these plans. They talked about how they communicated with each other, like telepathically. Um, there's many stories out there about elephants being able to do that, and like yeah, so there's that. I've connected with some whales and um like dolphins. Whales are pretty cool. I don't know what to say. One time we did go whale watching, and I don't believe that we should always use like animal communication to tell animals what to do or anything like that. But if you approach them with reverence, you can make requests. So we were whale watching, and I was like, I know there's like a juvenile whale out there that they mentioned. Let me try to connect with the whale and just say, hey, I know you're doing your thing. We don't want to harm you. We would love to admire you. We would love to admire your beauty if you want to come out. And like 2 seconds later, the whale jumped out of the water, and I was like,
Wow.
yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to or can fully take credit for it, but it was pretty
It was all
uncanny.
you, girl. Yes. You were connecting with it. And all of a sudden, does that still blow your mind when that connection happens for you? It happens to, I still feel like it's magic to me, even when I get my, downloads and signs and confirmation like that. Does that still blow your mind?
Yeah, it still blows my mind. Everything, all my sessions, everything. It's constantly mind blowing. I hope I never lose that. Like sometimes I get a little jaded, and then something really amazing happens, and then I'm like, no, I could never get jaded again. But yeah, anytime I go hiking, like I introduce myself to the land and the animals and the plants, and I say if anyone wants to communicate, I'm here. And I receive all sorts of messages from plants as well, but
Wow.
from birds, from foxes, squirrels, yeah. So.
Amazing. So twofold question. Well, first the plants. What do plants have to say, what do they say to you? And also, you mentioned dolphins. Uh Historically, it's been said that dolphins are extremely smart animals. And I don't know if you know
Mhm.
this, but in ancient times, they really helped humanity, has a lot of wisdom to share, and
Mhm.
really help can they're pretty much like geniuses of the sea. So what did you pick up when you was connected with the dolphins and also the plants?
Yeah, so with the dolphins, I'm trying to remember the different times, but
Sure.
I remember messages like them being like saying we are very multidimensional, not only in the way that like all of our like the way we are. Like people will say, "Oh, they're smart. Oh, they're playful," but we're like many, many, many things, not just those things. And yes, we are smart. Yes, yes, we are playful, but like we want you to see us as these like well-rounded individuals type of thing. But also, they're doing things in the ocean that are like still beyond our understanding. Our I think, scientific understanding. Like I don't really know, but they're kind of those are a lot of the messages that I received.
Did they explain what that
And
was? They're doing more to is it the vibrations of the oceans, or it helps to with the planet? Um, just curious.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like doing something to the ocean, but doing like in the ocean, communication, like the yes, we already know they're communicating with each other, but I feel like their communication has it's more than just that. Yes, and it feels vibrational. It feels, but yeah, I don't, those conversations were a while ago, so I don't want to,
Okay.
like, I don't everything.
Sure. Sure.
And I don't know, yeah, but it's pretty cool. And then plants, and this is another reason why like the meat eating conversation is really interesting. I do believe that plants have consciousness of some
Absolutely.
sort, and
Yes.
we eat plants as well. We also should be thanking our plants. Um, and I have worked with many plants as essences or tinctures. They all have a medicinal vibrational property to them. Like they work on a vibrational level, but also a very physical level sometimes. As we know, many of our medicines are made from plants. And then there's like, yeah, there's all sorts of plant medicine. And when I commute, like if I'm out hiking and I communicate with plants, it is a little different than if like a squirrel is communicating with me.
Mm.
It's more of a feeling and like more of like they let me know where they are and how they're doing. Like
Mm.
we're over here, we're over here, we're mugwort and we're growing because the earth needs healing over here.
Mm.
Um
Wow, that's
uh,
beautiful.
Things like that. Some trees are amazing and they're like, come sit by me and share my energy and just sit here. And I'm like, all right, yes, trees are like they have so much wisdom in them. Um,
The voice you just demonstrated, I that's how I feel trees are. Like that very strong, not stern, but very deep resonating voice. I don't know if that's what you got, but it makes sense for a tree if you think about it.
mhm. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and I'm like it's there's a depth there. That's what it is. I think when I'm making that voice, I'm trying to like communicate the depth and the wisdom to the older
Mhm.
trees that are around. There are trees that are like 200 years old or more.
Totally agree that trees have a lot of wisdom to share. And, there's also been conversations about spiritual people who, this is what I've experienced, at least have seen that people, they get a lot of energy from the trees. And I was actually in
Mhm.
one of my favorite parks one day, and I saw this old woman literally just walking around the tree with her hand like this, just for an hour in a circle for 1 hour, just walking around the tree. And at that time I didn't really understand it, and then it dawned on me like, oh shit, like she's pulling energy from this tree into her own essence.
Mhm.
And so yes, totally. And there's also been, it's been said that you can also communicate through the trees, meaning that if you were on another side of the world and you put your hand on a tree, let's say, you can input messages into the tree. And if someone on the other side of the world really wanted to pick that up, I don't know if you know this, but wanted to pick up on that message, if they were to touch the tree, they can connect in that way. Like there's some sort of also telepathic communication going on between all the trees on this planet. It's just very interesting to me. Once again, Pocahontas vibes, everything is connected, right?
It's true. Everything is connected. So that makes sense to me. But also the trees have the root system that's connected with the mycelium
Mm.
network of fungi that helps them communicate as well. So yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
beyond the telepathic, there's this whole like underground system of communication that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the phrase go hug a tree, like legit go hug a tree. If you need to relax
Yeah.
your energy, take in some great energy, go to a tree, give it a nice big hug. It doesn't mind taking that energy from you and giving you some of its good loving. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but this is about animals, not trees, right? This is, I don't know, you could connect with plants too. We might have to do another interview another day about that. Um,
I know.
so with going back to animals, and I meant the trees thing. So this park that I go to, that I still go to, it's a sacred place for me. It's where I go to do a lot of my meditations, and where I actually bought patches to a
Oh,
lot.
yes.
So and just for me, from a spiritual experience, I've experienced a ton of things there, lots of signs, lots of objects being left behind for me. I'd come back the next day and see it there. So again, to my listeners, the spiritual world and realm is very, very real. That's not to scare anybody. I mean, we're on episode 12 now, they know what it is, but just to reconfirm that I'm not just saying what I say because I'm reading it somewhere. It's things that I've experienced. These are my real life experiences, and that's why I can attest to it. It's um it's very real and very comforting to know that you're not alone
Mm.
in that way, you know. Um,
Mm.
but going to the animals, uh, I mentioned I mentioned about non-domesticated animals because after I took your animal communication classes, right? I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember this, but I wanted to kind of like put it to the test to see how connected I could be. I
Mhm.
I share this in that group session. You probably don't remember, but I'll relate it to you. But
I
it
do.
do you?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to share with the listeners again my experience with animal communication because I've at this point when I went and did this, I had never really connected in that way before. So I went to the
Mhm.
Bronx Zoo and I
Mhm.
just started like going around getting chills right now because this moment was so deep and profound for me. Trying to connect with the different animals. I'm going to the birds area, I'm going to the gorilla
Mhm.
area. And then this was life changing for me. It wasn't until I went to the lion area. I'm getting chills. I'm getting emotional because I'm remembering this moment. And I don't know if you ever been
Oh,
to the Bronx Zoo. Have you been? Okay.
I've no.
Real quick, how do animals feel about zoos? They probably do not like that at all. I feel terrible going to the Bronx Zoo. It sounds so bad. I know it's just the only way for me to see these majestic, beautiful animals, other than booking a trip to Africa.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's like a big question. I think it depends on the zoo. It
Mm,
depends on the care and the situation that they're in. I
okay.
do know some communicators who have worked with zoos, but I haven't really done that a lot, so I can't really speak to it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in either case, I went to the zoo. I'm so sorry, animals, but the Bronx Zoo. I pray that you guys are treating your animals correctly there. Um, so so at the Lions area. Obviously, it's not close by. There's quite a distance from where the lions are to where you can stand. And so
Mhm.
there were two lions there, right, walking around, and I'm just standing there, and there's people around me, mind you. And
Mhm.
the two lions then lay on the ground, and then I'm like, let me see if I can connect with one of them. So,
Mhm.
oh God, I'm getting chills. I'm getting emotional. Ugh, because I could just remember it.
Oh,
And then I'm just focusing on this one lion. I was just drawn to this lion, right? And it's a good 100 feet distance from myself and the lion. I'd say about 50. Like there's a pretty far distance from spectators to the animal. So then I'm sitting there, I'm standing there, and I'm just connecting, and I'm like, and all of a sudden, Olivia, I felt like we locked, like the connection
mhm.
locked, and then
Mhm.
the lion like it was just looking around, and when we locked we just stared at each other, and we were just
Wow.
standing there just connecting with one another. And like, I tears started flowing down my eyes. I know people probably thought I was crazy. Like, what? Why is this chick crying? Standing here looking at this lion, but I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. I can't
Mhm.
explain it, but I felt the lion's energy, and the lion felt me, so much so that
Mhm.
it was looking everywhere and just completely focused on me. And we were
Mhm.
focusing on each other, and it blew my mind. And from that moment on, I was just like, this connection is so real. You can totally connect to animals in that way. Um, I'm not
Mhm.
sure why the tears, I'm pretty sure I know why the tears came streaming down my face. It was just such a beautiful feeling, like acknowledgement. Um,
Yeah,
just so
that's
deep
really,
and profound.
no, I do remember that story because I remember like how beautiful it was. And
Mm,
I also do say like that just this overwhelming feeling of oneness is like communication. It is a sign you are connecting.
mm,
And also a reminder that communication doesn't always have to be words or
mm,
thoughts, that
mm.
be these feelings and these knowings. And it really sounds like that's what you had with the lion. And that's really amazing and beautiful and powerful.
So powerful. And I'll never forget it. Just like any other moment I've connected with animals, especially my beautiful Patch.
Mhm.
No nonsense Patch. Say.
Yeah, yeah, she was no nonsense. Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's a great segue to kind of get into that. So Olivia is going to connect with Patches, who is my dear, beautiful cat, but she would say she's not a cat. She's more than that. Um, and whatever Patch would want to share, maybe have some conversation with her a little bit. And then listeners, Olivia is going to connect with some of your animals too. So she's just briefly going to share some messages that she picked up from your animals as well. So get ready. Not sure what Patch is going to say. I will say on my Instagram, you've probably already seen, not you, Olivia, but the listeners, I always pay homage to Patches. Um, you already saw what I wrote. She is completely my sidekick, my ride or die. We've been together not just in this lifetime, for a very long time, which I'm sure she'll share. And I learned a lot from her. I learned a lot from her. And that's through you too, Olivia, from your communication and the messages you were sharing. It was because of your messages through Patch that I became confident in my intuition, because that was a repeated message that kept on coming up, that I have a very powerful intuition, which as I've been on this
Mhm.
journey has proven to be true. Even as I was doing my
Mm.
Reiki sessions and I was doing the training. I don't know if you're in your training, but the teacher, the master would go through your body to feel things too. And she also picked up on
Mhm.
that immediately. She actually jumped back. That doesn't mean I'm the the messiah of intuition, but it just again proves that this communication is real. But it goes back to Patch, because if it wasn't Patches, yes, Patch, um,
Mhm.
I would not have even made the decisions in my life that I've made to be where I'm at today. Believe it's that deep and profound. So with that said, let's connect with Patch, um, and see what she likes to say. She knows I talk to her all the time, right? I'm sure of that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I feel like so as you're talking, I kind of like I always say that I connect using my attention and my intention. So I intend to connect with Patches. I put my attention on her. I don't even need to see a picture because I'm so familiar with her. I see her face kind of come up and I'm like, yeah, that's you. But I did kind of feel her immediately being like, oh yeah, we talk all the time. Why do you need to do this? But she also is like, no, she understands the importance of this. She really does want to help you with your journey, like with helping to educate people about this type of connection, this type of communication. But I feel like so she's kind of like first coming in with like a very
And
master energy patches of like I you could tell me if I'm wrong about this or understanding this
no.
wrong. She's like, have you been like slacking off on your like meditations or connections lately?
You know, I, yeah, I can't lie. Yes,
Okay.
I am doing other modalities to still feel connected. I
Yeah.
still do my morning prayers. I have, something here for her, which you already know. She already knows. So I always pray that every day. But meditation,
Mhm.
yes, I have not. Does she want me to meditate more?
Yeah, I feel like this is partly just joking or like poking at you a little bit. Maybe because there's part of you that's like, oh, maybe I should be doing that. But yeah, she's encouraging you to do
Okay.
like meditation.
Is there a reason why she wants meditating is fantastic, clearly, but is there a bigger reason, significance that she wants me to meditate more than I already am now?
Yeah, it just feels like for her, like I don't know, there's something like she can get to you easier. Like I know she's always connected with you, and I know that you are often talking to her, but there is something about it's almost like practicing that connection. It's like beyond just meditating, but connecting with like the larger consciousness. And yeah, it just she's not like saying this exact reason, but it's just like she thinks it's good for you and also good for your relationship with her.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
Obviously we always have free will and like whatever feels doable and right? Sometimes they'll kind of say like, why don't you do this? But you have a choice, obviously. But no, it's really also a little bit of poking fun because she knows that you have been doing so much other work and so much like so much. So it's like she also says it with a little bit of in jest, I guess you could say. But I think she's like also now drawing back to kind of looking at your journey together. And this is stuff we've talked about before. And without going into like great detail about everything, she's kind of comparing like how you grew together, but um and toward the end of like her life with you, how proud she was of you. It's almost like that's when you started to really, I'm seeing you like emerging, coming out of your shell or something, or like really almost like waking up in a way. Um, and there's a real sense of like you're understanding how much like you are worth,
Mm,
your worthiness, and like making decisions based on that rather than just safety, just security, or just shoulds or comfort. And how like that took a lot of courage. And she's like, I hope I modeled that courage and that strength to you. I
yeah.
really always tried to show that. And like she's like kind of how she's kind of like you grew into my sort of strength, and I'm proud of you. And like it's almost like that's how you can honor her, is by continuing that. And she's got like, okay, I did my job, I'm out.
It's so funny. How does she feel about what I'm doing now? And she'll know what that means, I'm sure. My new direction in life. Um,
Oh,
really stepping into, because I lean on her too. I also speak to her. She knows that.
yeah.
Stepping into really owning the spiritual side of me and showcasing that to the world. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's really happy about that because she feels like she has something to do with it for sure, which you
Mm-hmm.
have already said, yes, she does. But she's not just happy about that because of her. It's not like this prideful thing. It's more of like a, yeah, girl, that's your soul mission thing, or like that was our soul mission together, you know? So you had to go through all this like hard stuff when people go through like the dark nights of the soul or the really hard situations. She's saying just to like so you could be here now in this doing what you're doing now. She's saying like before there may she's almost showing this like this like cloud over you at one point like before, and then now, like that cloud has kind of moved, and you are bright and clear to be able to like project your essence and your knowledge and wisdom into the world. So she, yes, to in a shorter answer, yeah, she is like very excited about this and loves to be helping and love that she helped.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners? Um, Before we tap into the other animals, before we go, I know she has so much to share. Just a message pertaining to this topic.
Yeah, she's like, if you feel like your animal is trying to tell you something, they are. And also, like, and that's like for living animals, but also for animals in spirit. She
Mhm.
wants everyone to know that, like, when their bodies die, that there's still a part of them that lives on. And that's the part that you are still connected to. You're connected to each other. Um, and remembering that connection and that part of them lives on is what's going to help you like heal also um from their loss. And it's not like, of course it's not spiritually bypassing or saying like no, you can't grieve, because she's also saying grief is also almost an honor, like you honor me with your grief, and it's showing how much you loved me. And it's okay to move through that and to cry and to be sad and to miss my physical presence. And she said she's really saying this for everyone, but also to you. And that, you know, but she hopes and sees like she is so happy to have a continued relationship with you in spirit. It's just like your relationship has changed, right? And she's reminding and letting other people know that they can have that too with their animal companions if they want it and if they're open to it.
That's so comforting. Well, thank you so much, Patch, for stepping in. Um, I'm sure there's so much more she'd like to share, but I'm absolutely going to take all your advice. And
Mhm.
Olivia, if you're still open to it, let's
Mhm.
get to some of those messages that listeners have requested and hoping out there that they'd receive from you from their animals. Which is amazing. A lot of people wanted to know what was going on with their fur babies. And yeah, and I'm sure they have tons to say. So I'm gonna throw it over to you. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so first I'll say like usually like if you have a session with me, new client sessions are like an hour long because I like to spend a little time getting to know an animal um and like giving evidence or like evidence that it's them to come through, like personality, things they do or did, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So But so these types of like short, quick communications are a little different. Um, and well, yeah, but I feel like hopefully the messages I just asked like, hey, whatever needs to come through can come through.
Mm-hmm.
I what I did is, just to be really transparent, Jen sent me really shortly before this. I didn't have really that much time, which is good
Sorry.
because I no, no, it's totally okay. And I'm just saying it like just I'm not sitting there like researching the animals or anything. See, I just like looked at the messages and then whatever names and like whatever ones popped out to me, those ones I said, okay, I'll connect with your animal real quick. And then I wrote down a couple sentences. So I'll kind of go through what came through. And then if anything else comes through, as I'm going through, that's saying through a lot of times. But if if anything else comes out, then I will let you know. Um, The first thing, your sister's dog. Did you wanna, did
Yes.
you wanna? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Sure. Just let you know if we
So
get cut off, we're gonna jump into another Zoom, okay? Depending, because it's at night right now.
okay,
But we'll
yeah,
see how we go. Yeah.
I'll see if I can do it quickly. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so Hannah and her dog Nappy, who is in spirit.
Yes.
Okay. And your sister's dog,
Yeah.
so maybe you can like validate a couple things because I got a real sense of like, so he just kind of like came in as he like loved her so much and wanted to take care of her, but he also felt like also very needy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so needy, like pulling me, like,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
okay, yeah, I just felt like and so he basically the messages that came through, like the quick ones, he said, "Thank you for treating me like one of the kids and for taking
Oh,
care of me.
yeah.
Thank you for putting up with my anxieties and my weird little quirks and my neediness." And he's like, sometimes I know like walks maybe were frustrating. Like he's saying he like would obsessively stop or obsessively sniff. I don't know
Mhm.
if
Yes, yes. My God. Took him forever to walk down the block. He just wanted to go to every tree corner. I mean, every storefront, every stoop. It was, yeah, very and curious.
yeah, he's a quirky little funny little
He
guy.
is.
Yeah. And he was just like, he just wanted to say, like, his big message was, thank you so much for like letting me be me, putting up with my quirks and like treating me like one of the kids, like I am your child and like really giving me what I needed, the attention that I needed. I love you so much. And then he showed like water bowls or food bowls, like, um, do they still have bowls out or something for him? Do you know?
That I don't know. I can ask or find out. Yeah.
Yeah, he showed them to me like they were significant, and it's either like maybe she's saving them or still has it out, but like he's just kind of acknowledging that, and it was really cute. And then like I feel like if they wanted to still put a little food or a little water as an offering for him, they can do that.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually had a real quick an animal telepathic situation with him too. Very, I was a teenager. We were just sitting on my
Oh,
bed. I had no idea. And I'm just staring at him and he's staring at me. And we were literally staring at each other for like a good 5 minutes. And I felt like we were like talking to each other. I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah,
yeah.
it was really, really interesting at that time. I was like, holy shit, am I talking to you? I think I said that to him too on the bed. Because we were just staring,
Mhm.
Pug. We were just staring at each other like this, like not saying anything. Anyway, sorry. That came up in
No,
my mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very
that's
cool.
amazing. Yeah, he's like, yes, we were talking. Hello. And he's like, I do it all the time. But
Okay.
okay, let's make sure we get to these other ones. So
Yes.
it's so funny. The one that jumped out to me was Butters the cat who is living, and the person is Steph. And I don't know, I felt like Butters felt like a real character to me. Like his energy jumped out. when I looked at the messages, like he was trying to get my attention. But he
Mhm.
also feels like he does it in real life. Like he might knock things over, get in your face, really try to get your attention. And then he was giving me images of his poop. And I was like, are you pooping on the floor to get attention? What is going on? So I
Mm.
just thought it was hilarious. Something if they want to like confirm. But and then I was like, maybe we need to have a full session. And then the last thing he said was like, he loves you very much, but you work too much.
Mm. Take some
And
time
just like
off.
feeling, yeah, and no, and I started getting the feeling of like maybe he's like feeling a little restless or like he getting your attention just like because he loves you so much and he just wants you to be like happy. Yeah. So that's it. And I'm like, Butters, yeah, wow.
So sweet.
Um, yeah, the next one is the dog Hazel. So I will say Hazel and Hayes came up, and didn't you have a cat named Hazy?
I did. Yes. And I saw that.
And
I
so
was
like
like, yeah.
yeah, I was like, huh, is this like also this subtle message from her?
Mm,
Um, but so I talked to like Hazel and Hayes each. So I'll start with Hazel, a living dog who was the person is Sammy. So Hazel to me felt kind of like a wise old soul. She says she's here to guide Sammy to help you be aware of your energy and kind of work with your energy. That's part of like your bigger soul connection. And she's saying like she tries to help you ground sometimes. So I don't know if you notice her, Sammy, like sitting by your feet or like just like being a grounding presence. So that's really the message from Sammy. She loves you very much, of course, but just trying to like help you be aware of your energy.
mm, love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last one, I did one more haze. In spirit. So Hayes has passed, I believe, a male, and the person is Jessica. So when I saw Hayes, I don't know what he looks like, but I saw him almost like a wolf. He felt
Mm,
very powerful and wise, and that doesn't mean that he looked like that in real life, but maybe that's his energy right now.
mhm,
And then it made me really wonder if there is some connection with him and wolves or with Jessica and wolves. But I feel like he's trying to point her attention to wolves,
mm,
also as a sign that he's with you.
mm,
He's saying that you both understood each other really well, and he thanks you for the way things ended. He says he was able to feel dignified, and he says thank
mm.
you. He loves you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful, Olivia. Thank you so much for channeling these animals. Listeners, I hope you received the messages and feel comforted by it or laughing your butts off because that Butters comment was really funny. Um,
I know.
and Olivia, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast. You're amazing. It's always incredible speaking with you. Clearly, you guys see she's the real deal. Not like I'd bring anyone on that wasn't the real deal, and not like she needs validation from anyone. But this is just to again bring awareness, have your mind expand to the possibilities of what is while we're here living on this planet, on this earth. Olivia, let everyone know where they can find you if they'd like to book with you and any other information you'd like to share.
Yeah, so I'm at it's my first name and last name, olivialabar.com. Labar is Labarre.
Mm-hmm.
I am really not super active on Instagram anymore. I might be leaving it. So really the best place to connect and book is my website, and you can sign up for my newsletter there where I send a monthly newsletter and then also like special offerings and classes through that. So yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you guys were enlightened by this episode and learned a lot about animal communications, but also just, having a better understanding of animals that are here, past and present. And you never know who might be on the next episode of my Zen Gen podcast or not, but make sure you tap in with me, okay? I'll catch you next time. Love and light. Peace.